Do you have a favorite Kobe Bryant moment in your career?
Nothing beats getting drafted. And you dream about that moment. You know, it's just, and that's the beginning of it all.
3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot.
One of the greatest assassins the game has ever seen. That's what enters my mind when I think about him. I don't think about just his talents. I think about the mentality that he had. He'd cut your throat to beat you.
This is the month where Kobe Bryant averaged over 43 points per game. Now, Kobe wasn't a stranger to these kind of prolonged streaks of incredible performances. In fact, he did it 4 times. The only other players to average over 40 points per game in a month are Elgin Baylor, who did it once, and Wilt Chamberlain, who did it 11 times. However, Kobe, along with James Harden, are the only players in the modern NBA to accomplish this feat. But Kobe did it 4 separate times. Each of those months contained many legendary performances from Kobe. However, no month had a more legendary performance than this one. The 81-point game. Not surprisingly, this performance came in Kobe's greatest scoring month ever. That was in January of 2006. Today, I want to look at all of Kobe's separate performances from this month and relive NBA history. The Lakers had a total of 15 games during the month. However, Kobe didn't play in the first 2 games as he was suspended for this elbow on Mike Miller. To be fair, this wasn't unwarranted. Miller threw a shot at Kobe earlier in the game. Anyway, the first game that Kobe played in was on January 6th. Let's just set up some context up to this point. Before the game, the Lakers were 15-16 and were in the 9th seed in the Western Conference, only half a game behind the 7th and 8th seed. At this point, Kobe was playing over 40 minutes in the majority of his games. But before this game on January 6th, the Lakers had lost 5 games in a row. The Lakers would blow out the 76ers in this game. In fact, a quick little story about this game, a bit of foreshadowing on Kobe's part. Earlier in the season, Kobe was held to 17 points against the 76ers. Before this game, Kobe said that he would drop 50 on Andre Iguodala. He dropped 48 points and got 10 rebounds in a 26-point blowout. He was also perfect from the 3-point line, going 7 for 7, and we're just getting started. The next game was the next day on the 7th. Kobe upped his game. He scored 50 points as the Lakers won by 3 points. He didn't shoot as efficiently as he did the night before, but he did have 8 assists and 8 rebounds to go along with the scoring. It also helped that he played over 45 minutes of game time. On to January 9th, very similar to the previous game. Almost 45 minutes, 45 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in a 6-point win over the Pacers. The next game would be the first loss that Kobe played in during this month. Despite a 41-point effort from Kobe, the Lakers lost against the Portland Trail Blazers. In the next game, which was the next day, the Lakers went back on track with a win in a tightly contested game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, this was probably Kobe's worst game of the month. He scored 27 points, but it was his lowest scoring game of the month. Though, Kobe showed up when it counted, where he always shows up. He made 3 straight shots with less than 2 minutes left, including a game winner. A couple of days later, the Lakers faced the Golden State Warriors. Kobe rebounded from his performance in the previous game by scoring 38 points, dishing out 7 assists, and getting 7 rebounds. At this point, the Lakers had risen to 5th place in the conference. One little thing, I just think that it was interesting that Smush Parker played more minutes than Kobe in this game. Now we go to January 16th. This was a game that was monitored by many NBA fans. The Lakers versus the Heat. Kobe versus Shaq. At this point, Kobe and Shaq had faced off on 3 separate occasions, but they barely acknowledged each other. But before this game, they embraced, which was great to see. Before I talk about Kobe, I want to mention a subplot from this game. A mini face-off between Shaq and Andrew Bynum. Shaq dunked on Bynum on an offensive rebound. On the very next play, Bynum demanded the ball and shook off Shaq, scoring the easy 2. As they ran across the court, Bynum bumped into Shaq. Shaq didn't take this too kindly as he retaliated with a right hook of his own. Just a funny little story. Now let's look at Kobe's night. 37 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. I think I'm numb to how many 30-plus point games this man is having. It's truly incredible. The next game was a few days later against the Sacramento Kings. Despite an amazing performance by Kobe Bryant, a 51-point performance along with 9 rebounds, the Lakers lost by 9 points. He played 44 minutes in this game. Interestingly, his plus-minus was terrible at -13. I hate to say this, but next game it was even worse. In a game against the Phoenix Suns, despite scoring 37 points, his plus-minus was -17. I suppose part of the reason was he shot 36% for the night, and only had 2 rebounds and 2 assists. But man, he's just scoring. Like seriously, the amount of points he was getting every night was just incredible. He wasn't slowing down. In fact, in his next game, he certainly didn't slow down. On January 22nd, 2006, against the Toronto Raptors, Kobe Bryant had the best scoring performance of any player in modern NBA history. 81 points. Other than this stat, there is one other one I want to look at, and that is game score. On Basketball Reference, there is something called game score, which basically measures a player's overall productivity for a single game. 10 is an average performance, and 40 is an outstanding performance. Kobe had a game score of 63.5, the second highest game score in NBA history, and only the third game score over 60. Just truly a legendary performance that we will appreciate throughout the NBA's future. It is hard to follow up a great performance, let alone a legendary performance, especially when the game is 5 days later. It wasn't Kobe's best game of the month, but it was still solid. 30 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds in 49 minutes in an overtime win against the Golden State Warriors. We got 2 games left for the month, and the Lakers would play the Pistons on January 29th. While Kobe did his thing by dropping 39 points to go along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists, the Lakers lost the game. To be fair, going into the game, the Pistons were 36-5, while the Lakers were 23-19. Considering how the Pistons were a team that prided themselves with their aggressive defense, this was a solid scoring performance by Kobe. And finally, we have reached the last game of the month, January 31st, against the New York Knicks. Kobe ended the month the way he started, with a 40-point performance in a blowout game. The Lakers beat the Knicks by 33 in what was their biggest blowout win of the season. This was actually Kobe's least amount of minutes played during the month, only logging just under 34 minutes, which when you think about it is still a hefty amount of time. The Lakers ended the month in the 7th seed, as Kobe was carrying them through the month of January. The Lakers would end the season in the 7th seed as well, though they would lose in the first round to the Suns. By season's end, Kobe led in pretty much any cumulative shooting stat you could think of. And of course, he finished the season by averaging 35.4 points per game, as well as ranking 3rd in PER and 4th in win shares. Despite all of this, he didn't win the MVP award. Steve Nash did. I'm not going to argue whether Steve Nash deserved the award, because it doesn't discount how incredible Kobe was during this season. He had the greatest scoring performance in modern NBA history, and one of the greatest scoring months in NBA history. Nothing about this should be discounted because he didn't win an award. It doesn't invalidate what he did. Now that Kobe is gone, we shouldn't argue about what went right and what went wrong during his career. We should celebrate what he did accomplish, how he became a legend, and why he will always be a legend, not only for basketball, but to the city of Los Angeles and the entire world. Thanks for watching.